Hello and good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, with our ongoing series on political geography, today we would be talking on ocean resource management and conservation in the first half, whereas in the second half we would be discussing on blue economy. And for this discussion, we have with us in our studios Dr. Smita Bakshi. Dr. Smita Bakshi is academic coordinator with the CEC, and she has experience. She has written some articles in the journals. We believe that her experience would help us out in understanding the topics in detail. So I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Smita Bakshi. Dr. Bakshi, welcome to the NSEC lecture.
Thank you, Geetika. Welcome, students. As you are aware that this lecture is on ocean resources, their conservation and management. This lecture is a part of ongoing lecture series on sustainable development goals. And conservation and management of ocean resources is a part of sustainable development goals, since ocean resource has the capacity or potential to supplement or to contribute sufficiently in sustainable development efforts. So in this session we would be talking about what are the ocean resources, what kind of ocean resources do we have, and how do we use them, or what kind of essential services they provide. So what are the major concerns and problems related to the ocean resources, and additionally we would be talking about what are the initiatives that have been taken up so far for better management and conservation of ocean resources. So before I start this session, I would like to brief you with the sustainable development goals in terms of ocean resources. Ocean resources lies in the sustainable development goal number 14 that states conservation and sustainably use the ocean, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. There are also few targets that have been set to be achieved by 2030 in terms of proper management and conservation of ocean resources. I would like to brief you with some of them so that you will be able to analyze the efficacy of ongoing initiatives in terms of ocean resources. So the first target says to prevent and significantly reduce marine pollution of all kind, in particular from land-based activities. Another target says by 2020 sustainably manage and protect marine ecosystem to avoid significant adverse impact. Additionally, it is talking about minimize and address the impact of ocean acidification, including through enhanced scientific cooperation at all level, that is national, regional and global level. Another target says that by 2020 effectively regulate harvesting and end overfishing, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing and restrictive fishing practices that implement science-based management plans for proper management of fisheries stocks. Additionally, sustainable target says to increase the economic benefits of ocean resources for sustainable development of small island developing state, since they are surrounded by seas and oceans. And it also encourages scientific knowledge and develop research capacity, transfer of marine based technologies, taking into account the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission criteria and guidelines on the transfer of maritime technology to improve ocean health and ocean resources. Sustainable development targets also encourages the conservation and sustainable use of oceans and their resources by implementing international law as regulated under United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, which provides the legal framework for the conservation and sustainable use of ocean resources. So these are some targets that are set to be achieved into different phases until 2030. So now let's start this session by looking at the ocean as an opportunity for life support system of the earth. We all know that the planet Earth is referred as a blue planet. And that is because of the abundance of water on the planet Earth. and all the available water on the planet Earth is constitute 97% of Earth's water are in the form of oceans and seas, and it covers almost 1.3 cubic million kilometer of space that constitutes almost 95% of total habitable area on the earth, which provide habitat to 70 lakhs to 1 million of species. And it is to note that among them 2/3 of the total species are yet to be discovered, and 50 additional service that ocean provide is oxygen production, as 50% of total produced oxygen is produced by phytoplanktons in the oceans, and that is more than produced by the all tropical forest in the world. Oceans also regulate gases and works as a climate buffer by absorbing CO2 into the atmosphere, and it also provides life support essential services, for example food, trade and transportation, and also provide various livelihood services to a large number of population. So these are some services, or these are some life support system that ocean provides for all human beings as well as other living organisms on the earth. So now let's understand what are the ocean resources that ocean provides. That resources can be categorized into four major categories. For example, physical resources, marine resources, biological resources, marine energy resources, and non-extractive resources. Where physical resources includes mineral deposits, petroleum, natural gas, freshwater resources. Biological resources includes plants, animals, various species of microbes, etc. Marine energy resources includes energy generated from tides, waves, and energy generated from coastal winds. The fourth category is non-extractive resources, that includes transportation, recreational activities, and waste disposal. So these are ocean resources that are provided by oceans or seas. So now let's understand how do we use all ocean resources, or what kind of essential services they provide in brief. If we see that ocean provides us foods and livelihood, shipping and transportation, oxygen production, trade and tourism, mining, climate buffer, etc. If we talk about food and livelihood, that around 4.3 billion people depend on ocean for their food and livelihoods across the world, and fisheries alone constitute more than 16% of world's protein supply, and global catch of fishes rose from 4 million tons in 1900 to more than 90 million tons in 2010, and it has subsequently increased in the later years. And it is important to note that among total caught fish, 60% of them are used to feed people, and remaining 40% are used as a food for fishes on the fish farms and other fish in captivity and fish oils. In this way, marine sector or fisheries provides directly or indirectly employ and livelihood to over 350 million people around the world. So these are some statistics that ocean resource provide in terms of food and livelihood. So there are concerns related to, or problems related to, the food and fisheries. The first problem is overfishing, and overfishing is due to a large subsidies that is provided for fishermen's as subsidies for fishing are contributing to rapid depletion of many fish species and are preventing efforts to save and restore global fisheries and related jobs that cause ocean fisheries to generate less than $50 billion as they could. And another concern is habitat destructions due to other activities like tourism, shipping, etc., and pollution generated by shipping, oil spills, etc. And another service that ocean provide is shipping and transportation, as ocean means for around 80% of global trade and transport by volume and over 70% by value. That includes moving cargoes with ships between seaports. Ships in transportation include tankers, containers, ship cables, ferries, and car carriers, etc. And I would like to tell you that in theory, shipping and transportation can have low impact on environment, and it is considered as a safe and feasible for many economies in the world. But problem occurs when shipping with oil and shipping with oil, dumping of wastewater into the ocean. Chemical accidents also happens due to oil spills during the transportation, and that have a negative impact on ocean environment with pollution, air and water pollution, and accidents happen because ships can hit animals of ocean, and due to the pollution and shipping activities, organisms are carried to a new habitat and in water and introduced to a new habitat and new environment where it is hard for them to survive. So these are some concerns related to the shipping and transportation. Another important service is trade and tourism. For trade, ocean provides a cheap and feasible means to transportation, as globally market value of marine and coastal resources and industries is estimated at 3 trillion to 8 trillion per year. That is about 5% of global GDP, and that is a lot. And as far as tourism is concerned, it is the fastest growing economic sector in the world, as it provides more than 200 billion jobs all over the world. It is among in the top 5 economic sector for 83% of all countries, and it is also the most important contributing economic sector for 38% of all countries. And it is the growth in tourism sector is very remarkable, as the international tourism has grown from 25 million in 1995 to 1035 million in 2012, and WTO, that is World Trade Organization, estimates of 1.8 billion further growth in 2030. So this is there is not only positive aspects related to the trade and tourism, but also there are some problems related to it. For example, construction of resorts destroys the habitat. Air and water pollution caused by tourism activities, and activities also destroys habitat for indigenous animals and fishes, and over-exploitation of local seafoods. So these are some concerns related to the trade and tourism. Another important activity is mining, as seabed is currently provide 32% of global supply of hydrocarbons, with exploration and expanding. Ocean also is a source of renewable blue energy production from wind, wave, tidal, thermal and biomass. It also provides many precious minerals like diamond, gold, silver and manganese ore. Mining activity also destroys ocean ecosystem where sediments are dredged up. At this process kills animals living in it and interferes with the phytoplanktons, reducing their quality to balance with the ecosystem and to produce oxygen. Another important activity is climate buffer and oxygen production. Climate buffer is very important for ocean, as ocean is an integral part of our climatic system due to its characteristic to collect, drive and mix water with the carbon dioxide and heat. So, by regulating all the carbon dioxide, water and heat, ocean helps to keep climate in a balanced state, and it helps to reduce the impact of climate change. As far as oxygen production is concerned, phytoplanktons in the ocean provide as much as 90% of the world oxygen because the water covers around 70% of earth, and phytoplankton are abundant in the photic zone of the oceans. So, among the total produced oxygen by phytoplankton, some of oxygen is dissolved in the ocean water itself, and some of them goes into the atmosphere where it becomes available for all oxygen dependent life forms. So, these are some major services or life support system we can say that ocean provides for all human beings as well as for other living organisms on the earth. So, there are some major concerns that ocean resources are confronted with. The major concern is the pollution of pollution due to the various nutrients, chemicals, oil spills that come to ocean water and reduced its life sustaining quality and quality of its other ocean resources. The major source of pollution in the ocean water includes pesticides nutrients and organic matter food from fish farms, alteration of coastal hydraulic regime caused by freshwater discharge reservoir, and other organic waste and drugs from animal farms, oil slicks and domestic waste from ports, domestic waste from urban settlement, heavy metal and chemical from industrial sites, high suspended solids from sand mining, nutrients and organic water matter load from shrimp farms, and pesticide and nutrients from agriculture. So, these are the sources of marine pollution that hampers the growth in the marine ecosystem and reduce their quality for sustaining life in it and for outer world. And there are some observations related to the concerns and problems of marine resources which I would like to put before you. As FAO estimates in terms of unsustainable utilization of fisheries that 87% of global fish stocks are fully or overexploited. Increasing marine pollution further contribute to the unsustainable coastal development, loss of biodiversity, ecological functions and decline in ecological services. Climate change is another concern for ocean resources, as increasing concentration of carbon dioxide are undermining fundamental aspect of many marine ecosystem through ocean acidification, changing ocean chemistry at a speed faster than at any time in the last 300 million years. Additionally, as much as 40% of the world ocean are heavily affected by human activities, including pollution, depletion of fisheries, and loss of coastal habitats. So these are some concerns related to the ocean resources. So till now we have understood what are the ocean resources, what are the major services they provide, what are their concerns. So now let's understand what are the major initiatives that have been taken up so far in terms of proper management and conservation of ocean resources. So there are many initiatives that have been taken up, that includes establishment of international maritime organization, that is called IMO, and various conventions for marine pollution established under IMO. Establishment of United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea and its sub institutions. In 1992, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. In 2002, World Summit on Sustainable Development. In 2012, World Summit on Sustainable Development, that is called Rio Plus 20. So these are some major conferences or institutions under which lots of many issues are being addressed in terms of ocean resources conservation and management. So let's understand all the institutions and conventions in brief. The major initiatives was taken in 1958 when the International Maritime Organization was established, and it is responsible for maritime security, liability, and compensation. So there are lots of convention was established under IMO to control marine pollution. Some of them are very important, which I would like to put before you. Like in 1969, International Convention related to the intervention on the high seas in case of oil pollution casualties. And in 1972, another convention was adopted entitled to prevention of maritime pollution by dumping of waste and other matters. In 1973, the convention was adopted named International Convention for the prevention of pollution from ships as modified by the Protocol of 1978. In 1990 and 2000, there was two conventions were adopted for oil pollution preparedness, response, and cooperations and incidents by hazardous and noxious substances. So these are some conventions that help or that assist countries to reduce their marine pollution by any means. And another important initiatives was the establishment of United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, that is UNCLOS, and its sub-institutions. UNCLOS were established in 1973 and ratified in 1982 by more than 160 countries. It was established with the objective to adopt a regime of national and international waters on a global scale. To supplement or to fulfill its objective, it has instituted many institutes or bodies. For example, International Seabed Authority, that is an independent international institution that came into force in 1994 with the aim of acting as a custodian of ocean commons. Another institution is Commission on the Limit of the Continental Shelf, that assists states in affair to do so with the establishment of outer limits of their continental shelf. the third major institution is to create a regime for peaceful settlement of disputes and the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. And the next important institute is the meeting of the state party to the Law of the Sea Convention and is concerned with the administrative matters of the national, international water and EEZ of a respective countries. So, UNCLOS provides a legal framework to deal with ocean resources in their littoral water or their EEZ. And it also helps country to resolve their disputes with other countries or neighboring countries. Another important initiatives was taken at the 1992 UN Conference on Environment and Development, where the adopted agenda was Agenda 21, and it states protection of oceans, all kind of seas, including enclosed and semi-enclosed sea and coastal areas, the protection, rational use and development of their living resources. It also emphasized a new approach that are integrated in content and anticipatory in ambit are needed. There are 7 programs that have been adopted in that conference, like integrated management and sustainable development of coastal areas, including exclusive economic zones, marine environmental protection, sustainable use of conservation of living resources available in the high seas and in the water under national jurisdictions. Additionally, it also deals with addressing the critical uncertainty in the management of the marine environment and climate change. It also included to strengthen various programs on strengthening the international, including regional cooperation and coordination, and considers a special case of small islands. In 2002, World Summit on Sustainable Development was held, where Johannesburg plans of implementation was adopted, and it also addressed various issues related to the ocean and ocean resources. The major important and emphasized issues are the ecosystem approach and integrated management should be adopted to protect the marine environment from land-based activities, to integrate water resource management into their national plans for development, biodiversity and marine protected areas, small island developing state, fisheries and aquaculture, global marine assessment, coordination in UN activities on ocean, and capacity development of coastal communities. And the most important initiatives was taken at the Rio Plus 20, that is 2012 World Summit on Sustainable Development. At that conference, recognizing the climate change as a major threat for ocean resources, the issue was dealt and into the consideration, and additional issue was addressed at that conference was to integrate ocean governance at national, regional and global levels, including action at the highest level of the United Nations, including fisheries, marine biodiversity, land-based resource pollution. The conference also addressed to increase capacity of coastal communities so that they can adapt with the changing quality of ocean resources around them. A special case of small island developing states also addressed at the conference, because ocean resources are the vulnerable for small island developing states, because they are surrounded by the oceans and they are in the front line to be front line to face the consequences of degraded quality of ocean and ocean resources, since they are socio-economically dependent on the ocean resources. The major initiatives was taken at the Rio Plus 20, that was blue economy. Blue economy refers to the concept that economic activities that are dependent on the directly on or indirectly on the ocean resources. So these are the major initiatives that have been taken up so far. With this, I would like to end this session, and in the next session I would be talking about blue economy specifically. So with this, I would like to thank you. Dear friends, in this session we will be talking about specifically on blue economy as a mechanism for better management and conservation of ocean resources for sustainable development. As we all know that economic contribution of oceans are very significant but remains undervalued, and the new relationship, economic relationship with the ocean is once again evolving in many ways. And ocean is becoming a new focal point in the discourse of growth and sustainable development at the national, regional and global levels. If we talk about the evolution of the concept, then we find then the concept has its origin in the broader green movement and growing awareness about the damages on ocean ecosystem by human activities like overfishing, pollution, habitat destructions and impact of climate change. The concept got further boost by the book published by Gunter Pali, that is The Blue Economy, 10 years, 100 innovations and 100 million jobs. In that book, Pali claimed that 10 years of blue economy will be responsible for 100 innovations and will create 100 million jobs. And he also looked at the ocean as an opportunity to provide food security, energy security, transportation, mineral resource and leisure and health. So later on the concept was taken up in the Rio Plus 20 conference from small island developing states. As in the conference, states claimed that the concept of green economy has very less relevance for them as they are surrounded by oceans or seas, and they wanted a green economy in a blue world. and at the Rio itself it was realized that the new concept of blue economy has the potential or the capacity to supplement the efforts that was has the potential to supplement the efforts for sustainable development of all the countries, including least developed country and small island states. And the concept of blue economy also reflects in the goal number 14 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which states to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. So it says that the concept of blue economy is emerging and yet to be developed a proper definition or concept and their components. So before we proceed further, let's understand the difference between green economy and blue economy. As defined by United Nations Environment Program in 2012, a green economy refers that growth in income and employment is driven by public and private investment that reduce carbon emission and pollution, enhance energy and resource efficiency and prevent the loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services. If we look into the definition, then we'll find that the concept of green economy revolves around the idea of protecting environmental pollution while pursuing for the sustainable development, whereas an alternative vision was blue economy, which view the land to seaward view from seaward to landward side, and as stated by the founder of the International Ocean Institute, that if before you saw the sea as a floor, as a continuation of land, now you see the land as a continuation of sea. So this statement gives a clear picture that blue economy is an alternative vision for development instead of green economy. So let's understand few definitions that would help you to understand the concept of blue economy in detail. Since I have already mentioned that the concept of blue economy is still in its emerging phase, there are no as such appropriate definition that is applicable on operational point of view. So there are few definitions given by United Nations and at the Rio summit, which I would like to put here. Like, as definition given by United Nations, a sustainable ocean economy emerges when economic activities is in balance with the long-term capacity of ocean ecosystem to support this activity and remains resilient and healthy. Another definition given by Rio Plus 20 conference, that is blue economy refers to marine based sustainable economic development which leads to improved human well-being and social equity while significantly reducing the environmental risk and ecological scarcities. So if we look and analyze both of the definition, then we'll find that the concept of blue economy has some specific components in it. The components includes economy, society, environment and culture, as well as equity and governance. In terms of economy, it refers to investing in a new opportunities, innovations and sustainable activities. In terms of society, it refers to promote well-being and equal access to services and resources. In terms of environment, it refers to preserving ecosystem and their potentials. In terms of culture, it says developing common understanding and integrated vision. It also talks about or includes equity aspect in it, equity in terms of space and equity in terms of time. Space equity refers developing geographical balance in access and use of marine resources, and time equity refers to managing all means of subsistence for the present generation as well as for future generation. It also includes good governance or governance, that refers for fostering good ocean governance, that includes to encourage political leaders and civil societies to take active role in decision making processes and their executions. So, all these components, economy, society, environment, culture, equity, along with a good governance, results in a concept of blue economy that presents ocean as an opportunity for all in terms of providing food and livelihood and other life supporting systems. So, these are some components, and there are some fundamental principles on which the concept of blue economy works. For example, its principle includes optimizing the benefits received from the ocean of marine environment, such as fisheries, agreements, bioprospecting, oil and mineral extraction. Another important principle is optimizing and efficient use of resources sustainably, inclusive, harmonious and environment friendly development, exploitation of opportunities in emerging marine industries. It also includes to promote national equity, including gender equality, and in particular the generation of inclusive growth and decent jobs for all. In this way, we can say that the concept of blue economy is a version 2 of green economy. It is a nature centric, works on the philosophy of replace something with nothing concept, and it also encourages to produce locally and consume locally concept. So, these are some fundamental principles which help to understand the concept and its implementation and its execution. So, there let's understand what are the scope for blue economy. In terms of scope, I can say that the scope of blue economy varies from country to country as per their exposure to ocean and ocean resources. If we say broadly, then the activities comes under blue economy can be categorized into 5 activities, in which the first activity includes the activities which explore and develop ocean resources. Category 2 activities which use ocean spaces. Category 3 activities are which protect the ocean environment, and category 4 activities are which use ocean products as a main input. Category 5 are those activities which provide goods and services to support ocean activities. Here I would like to tell you, if we analyze these activities by their characteristics, then we find then category 1, 2, 3 activities are those which take place into the ocean only, and that includes aquaculture, oil and gas, exploration, fisheries, laser mining, marine tourism, mineral, ocean renewable energy development, recreational activity, security, safety, marine environment management, navy, etc. And category 4 and 5 are those activity that take place from the ocean and to the ocean. That includes activity as coastal tourism, marine bioindustry, marine chemical industry, seafood processing, boat building, cables and communication, high-tech marine products and services, and additionally marine engineering, marine insurance, offshore plant building, port development and management, port operation, shipbuilding, research and development, license, navigation, public education and training in terms of ocean resources. So these are some activities that are being used for under blue economy, and which help country to pursue for blue economy in a sustainable manner. So if we there is a list of country, and if we see broadly, then there are certain activities or priority areas to be focused on while pursuing for blue economy, that is fisheries, aquaculture, maritime security, tourism, marine exploration, hydrocarbon exploration, and mariculture and port development. So these are priority areas that should be focused and that should be addressed while pursuing for blue economy by any nation. So now the question arises, how these priority areas can be addressed and what should be done while pursuing for blue economy. So there are some strategies that can be incorporated by any country in their development plans. So let's have a look on some specific strategies. The first strategy is that one country can develop those marine sectors or maritime sectors that have a high potential for sustainable jobs growths, such as aquaculture, coastal tourism, marine biotechnology, ocean energy and seabed mining. Another important strategy that one nation can use for pursuing for blue economy, that is essential components, to develop essential components to provide knowledge, legal certainty and security in the blue economy. That includes marine knowledge to improve access to information about the sea, marine spatial planning to ensure an efficient and sustainable management of activities at sea, integrated marine surveillance to give authorities a better picture of what is happening at the sea. Additionally, the most important thing is sea basin strategies to ensure tailor-made measures and to foster cooperation between countries. That can be very helpful to manage international water resources apart from apart the resources that comes under national jurisdiction or EEZ of any respective country. So these are some strategies that can be used by any nation to pursue for sustainable development or to incorporate their blue economy strategy in their national policy for development. So there are many countries that have already been adopted the blue economy strategy as their national strategy. For example, China has already initiated 5-year development plans on national maritime economy, which keeps track of progress in various maritime sectors. Additionally, the European Union has integrated in its blue growth strategy in Europe 2020 strategy for smart, inclusive and sustainable development of its marine resources. Additionally, as I have already mentioned, that the concept of blue economy is very much significant for small island developing states, since they are surrounded by oceans and they are dependent on their ocean resources. States like Mauritius and Seychelles also adopted blue economy as an important constituent for their national developmental strategy. And here I would like also to tell you that since small island developing states are poor and they lack in needed infrastructure and technology to pursue for blue economy, they look forward for major developing countries and developed countries to provide financial and technological assistance to small island developing states for their pursuance for blue economy and their sustainable development. So let's understand the case of small island states in a little bit detail. As they have small island developing states are a group of countries of low-lying and coastal countries. They share some common characteristic or challenges in terms of development and their characteristics which make them especially vulnerable and different from other countries. For example, they have a small size, they have fragmented physical settings, narrow economic bases and narrow resource base and infrastructure. So we can say that SIDS are sea-locked countries that have high level of economic dependency, a narrow natural resource base, are subject to environmental vulnerability and are remotely located throughout the world. As per the UN list, it contains 52 SIDS countries. SIDS are heterogeneous group of countries. They have diverse economic structures, and for SIDS, ocean and seas constitute a much larger geographic area, more than their inland territory, especially when their exclusive economic zones are taken into account. For instance, we can take example of Vanuatu Island, which has the land space of 12,200 kilometer squares and EEZ of around 6,80,000 kilometer square. So these are the concerns and opportunity for SIDS in terms of blue economy. Some of small island developing states have already initiated to pursue for blue economy in their national development plans. For example, Bahamas in 2013 adopted an integrated marine policy framework that focuses on governance on the legal alignment of more than 36 laws and 34 institutions. Another important initiative is Mauritius Ocean Economy Roadmap that was adopted in 2013 that seeks to use the untapped value of logged up in the exclusive economic zone by ensuring a sustainable utilization of marine resources and the sectors to be focused under this roadmap includes marine tourism, seaport, deep water applications and seafood related activities. The Caribbean region also adopted a blue economy policy entitled the Eastern Caribbean Region Oceans Policy that was also adopted in 2013 that provides a framework for planning and development of marine activities in the rational and sustainable manner. And additionally, Ecuador Green export review that was produced by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in 2015. It develops a sustainable fisheries strategy focusing on regulatory review, improving practices and technology, integration of sustainability in the value chain and in addressing the market access of barriers. So there are these are some major initiatives that SIDS has taken up so far to pursue for blue economy. Still, they do not have such, as I have already mentioned, they do not have such resources. So there are some recommendations that can be incorporated by many SIDS or other countries to provide assistance for pursuing blue economy in a larger sense. The recommendation can be like to enhance ocean use agreements in exclusive economic zones of SIDS by improving their design and implementation to ensure social equity, resource utilization and conservation, public transparency and the benefit from EEZ resources that assure to SIDS and their people. and it is important for many developing countries and developed countries to provide financial support to states to improve their ability to adapt to the impact of climate change, supported by improved cost estimates, and to protect coastal and ocean ecosystems, securing their role in providing valuable ecosystem services, products, and livelihoods. That is critical to in achieving the sustainable development goals, especially poverty alleviation. Uh, Additionally, it is important for SIDS to enhance their activity in order to increase their capacity development programs on the interrelated issues of ocean and coastal management, climate change, and biodiversity, especially among the high level leaders, fostering the next generation of leaders through investment in university programs, especially through the SIDS consortium of universities, among the leaders and stakeholders in local communities. So, these are some recommendations that can be incorporated by SIDS themselves and by other countries that can be incorporated for to assist SIDS for their pursuance for blue economy. Blue economy is not only limited to SIDS, but it has a great potential to provide to assist India in their effort, in its effort to pursue for sustainable development. India has a long coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers, and it has the India's marine resources have great potential to provide employment and sustainable livelihood and food security to almost 14 million of population that are living on 9 coastal state and 3 union territories in the country. So there are major opportunity that blue economy provides for India, that is food security, marine and coastal tourism, harvesting power generation and energy from waves and winds, and shipping and seaport facilities, availability of crude oil in the neighboring seas, and biotechnology, submarine mining, and exploration of oil and gases. So thus the activity related to the marine sector provides employment to million people and contributes to food security of the country. And by recognizing the socio-economic potential of ocean and ocean resources and managing its resources properly, India can seize their competitive advantages for its socio-economic development and strengthen their strategic position in Indian Ocean region, as well as in terms of the international level politics or strategic policies. So there are specific challenges that India face in terms of blue economy, that is to fill the knowledge and information gap about ocean resources, and to raise awareness and knowledge sharing on the relevant research efforts, and increasing the level of interdisciplinary learning to promote technological breakthroughs in blue growth and business sectors. Additionally, it also faces a major challenge in terms of scientists and skilled worker, because there is a lack of scientists, engineers and skilled workers to apply new technologies and in the marine environment. So there are some recommendations also that can be given for India to include in its development policies, that national policy on blue economy of India must be clear. Networks all blue economy associated industries, institutions, academia, government agencies for resource knowledge and expertise sharing. India also need to create awareness of blue economy in youngsters. and forum needed to support ocean source innovations. Reforms are needed in judicial process, police administration to deliver quick justice and economic justice. And Indian government or policy makers can also give incentives for energy efficiency, waste management, compliance of law. At the same time, it can give disincentives for wastage, pollution and violation of law. So these are some recommendations that can be incorporated by policy makers of India to pursue for blue economy. And these are some concluding remarks also, and with this I would like to end this session.
With this note, we would like to thank Dr. Smita Bakshi for giving deep insight into the topic. And dear friends, if you too want to give your feedback for this particular lecture, then you can mail us at info.cc@nic.in. This lecture is going to be uploaded on YouTube very soon. Keep watching us, keep writing us. We would be meeting again very soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Smita.
you so much.